Welcome to the MIPAD Travel Desk Podcast. We are taking you on a journey that literally bridges worlds from Africa to the Caribbean, from Brazil to Cape Verde, from Lagos to London, New York, and beyond. I'm your host, Crystal Cummings, and today's episode, Bridging Worlds, the Future of Diaspora Travel and Tourism, explores how travel is reshaping our global identity as people of African descent. We are talking about more than tourism. This is about homecoming, cultural pride, and building bridges between Africa and its diaspora through travel, business, and shared heritage. And we've got an incredible lineup of guests helping to lead the movement. First off, joining us from the beautiful islands of Cape Verde is Honorable Pedro Lopez, Secretary of State for Digital Economy, a visionary leader driving innovation and using tourism as a tool to engage the global African diaspora.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to say thanks for MIPAD for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be in a session where we can talk about these kind of issues, and with two dear friends, Kamil and Paolo, two trailblazers and people that are having an impact on Afro-descendant people. So it's a pleasure to be here, and also with a Nigerian and Brazil, two countries that I love.
So next, joining us from Brazil, we have Paolo Rodrigo, an author, futurist, and cultural strategist who is using creativity and storytelling to connect Afro-Brazilian culture with the wider African experience. Paolo, welcome to the MIPAD Travel Desk Podcast.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for this invitation. Thank you, Kamil. Thank you, Pedro, all my pet family. Yes, I'm Paulo Rogério Nunes. I'm from Salvador, Bahia, in Brazil. We're going to talk more about Bahia, but, we are located in northeast of Brazil, and I work pretty much with innovation, technology, communication, and try to make the connection between our people across the world. So happy to be here and learn more about other experiences, share about my beautiful country of Brazil.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you here. And finally, the man building global bridges for our community, Kamil Olufowabi, co-founder and chairman of the most influential people of African descent, MIPAD. Kamil, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Super excited about the travel show and podcast. It's been a long time coming. We've been building a global network. Now it's time for us to see the world together.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Okay, so we are moving on to our first segment, the power of travel in connecting the diaspora. Let's start with the core of today's conversation. Why travel matters in reconnecting the global African family. Kamil, MIPAD has become a major voice of connecting Africans and people of African descent across more than 120 countries. Why is it important to make travel such a central part of your mission?
Again, thank you so much, Crystal, for having me on the show. Super excited. We've been building a global network of people of African descent for the last 8 years. And it is okay for us to be dispersed around the world, but what is not okay is the disconnection. So the work we've been doing at MIPAD is to reconnect our global community together and also connect them back to the motherland. And one of the frequent requests that we get at MIPAD is I want to, come to New York, or they see me traveling to Brazil for Black History Month, and people want to come along, so they can meet people of African descent in all these amazing places, around the world.
Amazing, Kamil. I love that. And I'm so excited about the travel desk. I am so passionate about the concept of bringing people together, from different parts of the diaspora and the continent, being able to reconnect and reunite. It's such an amazing feeling.
Absolutely.
So Pedro, Cape Verde has been gaining global attention as both a digital and tourism hub. How is your government using these two sectors, tourism and technology, to attract members of the African diaspora and create opportunities for shared growth?
So answering to your question, as you know, as you said, Cabo Verde is positioning itself as both a digital and tourism hub. So we were already new because of our beautiful beaches, and Kamil hadn't been there, but Paolo, yes, and he loved Cabo Verde because it's a beautiful country, and it's a bridge between Africa, Europe, and the Americas. It's not just our beaches and the sun that we have, is also our stability, our connectivity, and now a strong digital agenda that make our country an ideal place to test ground for innovation and entrepreneurship across the continent. Just recently, EasyJet signed an agreement with the government of Cabo Verde, and they start flying to Cabo Verde this year. So it's the first sub-Saharan country in Africa, a sub-Saharan African country, to receive EasyJet flights. So imagine flying from Cabo Verde to Europe for 70 euros with a return ticket, $70 more or less. So that's fantastic. And from here to Senegal, it's 1 hour. From here to Europe, it's 3 hours and a half. From here to Brazil, it's 3 hours and a half as well. We are the closest African country to US. So it's important, and I think it's also important to make sure that people know something about my country. We were once the biggest marketplace of enslaved people in the Atlantic. So people, they were not slaves, they were enslaved by the Europeans. And then from places like Senegambia, the Europeans, they would travel to Senegambia and other parts of Africa. Enslaved people sell them in Cabo Verde to take them to the big plantations of Brazil. So in order we have to recognize history, but now it's time to tell a more beautiful story made by Africans, made by us. And I think we are living important times. The world, unfortunately, is becoming polarized, but I see it as a fantastic opportunity for the continent. Not just because I'm also part of the Obama Foundation, and for many years I was speaking with President Obama about the brain drain of Africa. And once I asked him why how can we revert the brain drain? And he told me something that is very interesting. And I think it's time for us to start having this narrative of bright minds, time to return to the continent, is that we have Africans that study in the best universities in Europe, the best universities in America. We have Africans that work for the best multinationals across the world. And now it's time for them to return. And that's why my country, because of the stability that we have, because the infrastructures that we are building, we are preparing to receive not just Cape Verdeans, but Africans that want to be part of a new Africa.
Pedro, thank you so much. That's amazing. I love everything that you're doing, and the fact that Cape Verde is like the center, the hub of everything that connects both the diaspora and the African continent together. Really amazing. I like that EasyJet is doing direct flights. I've traveled with EasyJet before in Europe, so I think it's amazing. Even the price you quoted, I'm like, wow, I'm definitely going to be flying to and from Cape Verde soon. Awesome. Paolo, as someone deeply rooted in Afro-Brazilian culture, how do you see tourism as a bridge between Brazil and Africa? And what role does cultural storytelling play in that connection?
As I said, I'm from Bahia, right? It's in Brazil, which is a place very unique in Brazil. Many people know about Brazil. They may read something about Rio de Janeiro. Maybe if they're, savvy on business, they'll read about São Paulo, which is the financial capital of Brazil. Rio de Janeiro being the most tourist capital of Brazil. And Salvador is the heart of Brazil, right, Kamil? It's the really birthplace of the culture, right? So the Brazilian culture in general, because Brazil had the first capital its first capital is Salvador Bahia, right? So that was the main seeds of the Brazilian culture, but also for the Afro-Brazilian culture in the Americas, right? So we're talking about a place that gave to the world things like capoeira, right? So of course, uh, reinventing this from the motherland, from Angola, but being in Brazil and turn this into a global mass, cultural slash sports activities. And that's the same city and same states of Bahia that gave the samba, to the world. People may know the salsa from Cuba. They may know the other music from Latin America, but samba is from Bahia. The samba, it was created in Bahia, right? So of course with the same influence of the motherland. And then Bahia is also known by its culinary. Camille had a chance to eat our amazing culinary there, right? So talking about akara that we know you guys have in Nigeria, and then you have in Bahia, you have in Brazil, Pedro, and then you have the moi moi that we call abara in Bahia, right? So the same moi moi you guys have, and then the Gary that you guys have in Ghana, and the other similarities of the food, even the cachupa that you guys have in Cape Verde, we have something similar in Brazil. So we are talking. Pedro told us about Cape Verde, which is an amazing country, which is a true hub. I'm happy to be in those two countries, Nigeria and Cape Verde. So I'm very lucky to come back to the motherland and see this beautiful place with a lot of culture.
Thank you so much. I really love that, Paolo. And I love that, you know, in Brazil, the authenticity of the culture, like you can tell it's a rich African country. Like even though they are miles, miles away from the continent, when you see the spirit of the culture of Brazilian people, I love it so much. I'm yet to visit. It's on my bucket list. But I just love when I hear how Brazilian people are so passionate about their culture, the Yoruba culture, the fact that you guys have the largest diasporas of African descent outside of Africa. It really amazes and fascinates me. Thank you so very much. Okay, moving on to the second segment, culture, innovation, and heritage as tourism drivers. Today, travelers want more than just beaches or resorts. They want connection, authenticity, and purpose. Honorable Pedro, Cape Verde has been leading digital transformation in West Africa. How are you using innovation like digital identity programs or startup ecosystems to attract young diaspora travelers and remote professionals?
Well, thank you, Crystal. I think innovation and digital transformation, they are really redefining how people experience the world, right? And we, as a small island, we are embracing this change with vision and purpose. We are small, but we have big goals. I think it's important to say that. Today's generation of travelers and entrepreneurs are not only looking for destinations, they're looking for communities that align with their values. For example, digital nomads, when they came to Cabo Verde, and we have a program for digital nomads, they always look to give a contribution to the local ecosystem, to understand what's going on here in Cabo Verde. So I think their values today, when we talk about their values, we talk about creativity, sustainability, and also connectivity. So our investment in digital infrastructure, like I said, from nationwide broadband and data centers to the promotion of digital nomad visas and smart tourism, is creating exactly that environment. So we want them to feel part of something, like Cabo Verde, because we have that mixture of Africa, a bit of Europe, a lot of Brazil, a lot of Caribbean as well. It's that mixture that also we see represented here in this panel. It makes us feel very welcome to the others, but not just welcome. Also, we want you to feel part of something. And that's why when you come to Cabo Verde, it's an experience because you feel like you belong to something. And we, as people of different parts of the world, um, I think sometimes we have a problem with identity. And here in Cabo Verde, we can find that thing, because nowadays the real identity is not where you geographically where you were born, is where you feel like you belong. Um, and I have a lot of friends, Afro descent friends, from they were born in Europe or other parts of the world, and they came to Cabo Verde to connect with African roots. And I did the same. I was born in the diaspora, and I think Cabo Verde can play an important role in that, and also attracting this new wave of Afrofuturism. When I went to Brazil, I met so many people, Black people, that want to connect with Africa, but also with Afrofuturism wave, and to see how can they be part of this world that is changing, but at the same time preserving their values and their ancestry. Um, we are merging technology with culture because we think it's really important to do it, making it easier for a young entrepreneur to set up a startup here in the islands, for a content creator to work remotely while connecting with local communities. And recently we had a lot of content creators coming from Brazil, because Cabo Verde is the smallest country ever to qualify to the World Cup. And we're super happy about it, right? It's going to be fantastic, because it's going to be the World Cup is going to be in the United States, where we have a big community there, big diaspora. But we had Brazilians that create content coming to Cabo Verde to make sure that they create content about these fantastic moments. And you have guys like Felipe Neto, that is probably one of the biggest YouTubers of Brazil, coming to Cabo Verde and making content. And then he understood something that is very interesting, and I think we need to explore more. Paolo is doing a fantastic job with that. I try to do as well, Bridges, to understand that he came here and he explained why he went to a small island in the middle of the Atlantic to make content about Cabo Verde qualifying for the World Cup, because this guy, he doesn't even create content about sports. So what he understood is that the concentration of people that are following him in terms of cities, some of them are from African cities that speak Portuguese.
Awesome. I love that. And I love the fact that you're opening in your doors to the digital nomads who want to come back home but don't really know where to go, where to start. The fact that there's so many people, even like, for example, Europe is like a hub for a lot of digital nomads that leave the US and different places, and Europe is always promoted. But now that you are opening your doors, people have the opportunity, especially people of African descent, they now have that opportunity to be a digital nomad in Africa, in an African country, and learn about their heritage and their culture and their history and things like that. Myself, I'm from the diaspora, and I'm living here in Lagos, Nigeria, and the connection that you feel when you visit, or you, how do I put it, you come back home to Africa, that feeling is so unique that I wish everybody can experience it. Not necessarily that you have to move back to Africa and live full time, but just to experience the tourism, the culture, the people. I really love it, and I love the work that you're doing. Okay, so Paolo, as a futurist, how do you see culture and innovation coming together to redefine diaspora tourism for the next generation?
The West made us to believe that we are far away, we are disconnected, we are totally different, right? And that's why we have no direct flights. That's why you have a few flights that connects us, inside the continents. I learned that when I was in motherland. Inside the country, it's hard to travel, and to the country, to the diaspora, right? So we have to go sometimes to go to Bahia. I brought a delegation from Ghana 2 years ago. We did during the carnival a lounge we call camarote, which is carnival is as Crystal said, is massive in Brazil, and you have different activations, and you did a Ghana house here. during the carnival. And then those people had to travel 2 days to get to Brazil, right? While if there was a flight from Ghana to Cape Verde, and Cape Verde to Brazil, it's gonna be less than 6-7 hours, right? So that's why you need to really push. And I would congratulate Pedro, my friend Pedro, because what the government of Cape Verde is doing to attract new flight companies, airplane lines, and to attract more hotels chain and attract more investors. It's very important because you have to change the narrative. Again, talking about technology, for example, I run a tech hub here, right? So it's called Vale do Dendê. Dendê, so people may recognize, some people may recognize, Dendê is a palm tree fruits, right? It's a palm oil, make it palm oil. So we use palm oil for everything in our food here. So that's why you use instead Silicon Valley, the Dendê Valley. The idea of we can use our own culture to produce amazing startups, creative companies, and we've been working and helping really good cases, business cases, like a truck, AI truck company who just did a seed round of $20 million to invest in their companies. We're talking about fashion companies who are now in the main stage, invested by Viola Davis, then the Zeros, and the other one in Fleets. We have a tech solution for find black doctors. Believe it or not, it's a country like Brazil, it's hard to find black doctors. We have a startup here doing that. The list goes on. We have helped more than 400 companies and startups. That's why we signed this agreement with Cape Verde, because we truly believe this exchange is going to change the game.
I love that so much. And we definitely add the future, especially when it comes to technology and tourism and just bridging those gaps between the continent and the diaspora. I really see that we are the future. Kamil, MIPAD Travel Desk now operates year-round across Lagos, Accra, Brazil, Cape Verde, London, New York, and so much more. How is MIPAD innovating to make these destinations part of one continuous global journey for the diaspora?
Again, thank you so much for bringing us together today. Today, we represent the vision that the travel desk presents, the opportunity the travel desk presents to the world and to our community. Real people who live in these cities around the world, who know the city, who know the possibilities that are created, who know the best place to visit when you do come, create authentic experiences. That's what this panel represents. Real people in cities that you've dreamed of going, your bucket list. Salvador, I'm blessed to visited Salvador because of my dear friend Paolo. It was an incredible experience. I reconnected with my culture as a Yoruba person going to Brazil. I learned a lot more because they preserve the authentic, Yoruba culture. And Cape Verde, I've heard so much about Cape Verde. Mr. Cape Verde himself, he speaks so highly of his country. I'm looking forward to the possibilities we can create by connecting both from a business perspective, a political perspective, economically, politically, culturally, right? It's just such a beautiful South-South connection. The three of us create a triangle, a very interesting triangle, where we can layer diplomatic relations, we can layer business, technology, and like Pedro, you said, we need to write a new story, a new exciting story.
So we are now final segment 3, tourism, business, and investment opportunities. Tourism is one of the most powerful tools for economic growth. And for the diaspora, it's also a gateway to investment and entrepreneurship. So Kamil, I'm going to start with you. The MIPAD Travel Desk is now connecting governments, private sector leaders, and diaspora professionals. How do you see tourism driving new business and investment opportunities across Africa and the diaspora? This kind of piggybacks on what you just covered just now, but it adds a little more depth. So take it away.
So, for example, at MIPAD, we recognize presidents and prime ministers every year for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And many times, these leaders of these countries want us to bring people of African descent from all over the world to their countries because travel and tourism adds to, it contributes to countries' GDPs. So the more tourists, the more opportunities they get to come there for conferences, for festivals, for events. It's great for their economy.
Awesome. I love that. And also, coming from the Caribbean, a lot of the islands, their sole GDP comes from tourism. So if we can get the people from the continent that usually spend their money in Europe for vacation or Mykonos, Santorini, if you guys can come to the Caribbean, come to Trinidad and Tobago, come to
Coming, Carnival,
Brazil.
to Brazil for Carnival.
Yeah, like we need that exchange. We need to
That
support each
economic
other. Yeah.
activity is what we're open that we will be able to facilitate. Absolutely. So Paolo is hosting an event in Salvador in Brazil. We want people of African descent, the whole world really, to come to Salvador, attend his event, but also visit the city of Salvador for digital nomads in the community, in our global community, want to look for a destination. The beautiful island of Cape Verde, presents them that possibility. So yes, it's the economic flow as well that comes from the travel and the tourism that we want to also, we want to amplify.
Awesome. Okay, so Honorable Pedro, Cape Verde is fast becoming a destination for both tourists and investors. What incentives or opportunity exists for members of the diaspora who want to invest, relocate, or launch businesses in Cape Verde?
Well, Crystal, we have the double of our population living abroad. So for Cabo Verde, diaspora is not just part of our past. It's central to our future. Also, they are very relevant for us in economical terms because part of the remittances that they send is very important for our economy. So with a global community larger than the population living on the islands, our diaspora represents knowledge. They represent as well talent, capital, as I said, and influence that can accelerate our national development. Just recently, this week, we opened a House of the Diaspora here for Cape Verdeans that are living abroad. When they come here, they don't have to feel like they are a ping pong ball, right? Going from one government department to another government department. So we create one place where they can solve their challenges here. Also, we are creating a new pathway for investment in digital economy, like I said, but tourism, renewable energy, and the creative industries, sectors where the diaspora can play a leading role. But beyond financial investment, we want to strengthen emotional and cultural ties through innovation. We can connect Cabo Verde Cape Verdeans around the world more closely to their roots, either through virtual experiences, cultural platforms, or diaspora entrepreneurship programs. We are now launching with the World Bank a program called Cabado. It's a program that we're going to open a global competition to provide seed capital to Cape Verdeans living around the world to return to Cabo Verde to make investments in digital. So it's not just a political narrative. We have to guarantee a soft landing for the diaspora to return to the countries. Like I said, a peaceful place where rule of law is respected, where people can feel that they belong as well. Because in the beginning, is not so easy.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, Honorable Pedro. So we are about to wrap up this Zoom. It was so amazing and insightful. I love the conversation that we have been having so far. But before we wrap up today's episode, I'd love to give each of our guests a chance to share a few closing words. perhaps a message to our listeners across Africa and the Caribbean and the larger diaspora?
Well, a closing message that I think it's important. I think we as Africans, and I don't make a difference between the ones that were born in Africa and the ones that were not born in Africa. I think we are one. We cannot continue to claim ourselves Africans if we never visit Africa, if we don't make partnerships with the continent, if we don't travel across Africa. If I'm from Cabo Verde, I cannot claim myself African if I just visit Cabo Verde. I need to go to Nigeria. I need to see what's going on in Ghana. I need to see what's going on in Mozambique, in Guinea-Bissau and São Tomé and Príncipe. So I think it's important. And when we go to these places, we can see opportunities, and we can make business with purpose. And we even can scale to other parts of Africa. Because as I said, we are one. So I want to tell you guys that Cabo Verde stands as a gateway between Africa and the world, between tradition and innovation, between heritage and the future. And we are a small nation, like I said, but with a global spirit.
Thank you so much. So I have one question I'd like to ask you. What is your go-to local dish that everyone must try when they visit your country?
Cachupa. Cachupa is made of corn, beans, and it's a fantastic stew that represents the mixture of Cabo Verde. So once you eat a plate of cachupa, you'll be more innovative and you'll be more ready to embrace the challenges of the world.
I love that. I love that. And do you want to say anything closing just in your native language in Portuguese for those in the diaspora that maybe from Brazil that are tuning in and they don't really understand English too well? What do you have to say to them in your native language?
I spoke for 1,000 African leaders recently in Washington, and I finished I started and I finished my speech, and I know some Yalis are watching, part of the Mandela Washington Fellowship Network, because I'm already receiving a message on WhatsApp. But I started to say Nubei Africa. Nubei means let's go. So let's do it. Nubei Africa. So I think Cape Verdeans will understand, and hopefully we can share this feeling that we just have to start. Let's do it. Nubei Africa.
So, Paolo, please, any closing remarks, final words you like to say? Tell us about your country. Tell us something that you think once you visit Brazil, you need to try, whether it's a local food, tell us about your country. And you can also speak it in your native language as well. So those from the diaspora that are tuning in that understand Portuguese can also hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I first of all, I'd say when people talk about Brazil, they always have the same stereotypes in mind, right? So of course, beach, of course, parties, and all of these are really true. We are very into party, we are very into sun and summer, but also Brazil is a huge country with huge potential and a huge business community, right? So I recently had the honor to receive my friend Pedro. I'm based in São Paulo right now, just doing a season here in São Paulo. And we are here in this hub, which is the biggest environmental business hub in Latin America, where you're talking about biofuel, we're talking about carbon neutral strategies, we're talking about how we regenerate culture and business through environments. You know, São Paulo is a massive country. I say it's the New York of Latin America, right? It's a big city with a lot of opportunities, and people don't know much about this. So my only point is, how can you definitely think about Brazil in a way that's more is different, right? It's about not only talking about culture, but also talking about business. In terms of culture, of course, I already spoke, but I want to emphasize how it's in our culture is different. So we have palm oil. That's it's something that you guys know very well. very well, but you don't know much about this. Like you have fufu, you have moi moi, you have all these things in Brazil. So come to Brazil, come to Bahia. In Portuguese, we say a Bahia é o mundo. So Bahia is the word. So the word meets here, and please come to Bahia. And by the way, this year is the COP year, the COP 30 Belém in the north of Brazil. So I may just say to you guys, if you come to Brazil, if you come to Belém, please talk to me. I'll be there for 15 days if you watch this mid-November, right? So 2025, because all international leaders for all over the world, you'll be here in Belém, in the north of Brazil, in the Amazon, in the right to the Amazon, to talk about the future of the world in terms of sustainability.
Wow, that sounds so amazing. I love it so much. And also, I know you mentioned people can reach out to you. So that's why also we have the MIPAD Travel Desk and the MIPAD app. So we are all MIPADians here. And if you're a MIPADian that's tuning in and you would like to visit, we have the MIPAD app that connects you with other people from the diaspora that are MIPADians. So you can connect to them, find your location, see who is within your area that you can connect to. Yeah, there's so much that's on the app. I would let Kamil give a little intro into the app as well. Kamil, it's your turn. You are from Lagos, but you've grown up in the US, but now you're back.
Yeah.
So tell us about your country, your culture, your food.
Absolutely. I love Lagos. I grew up in Lagos, and when I was younger, my teenage years, I grew up in the US. So there's always a longing for Lagos. I've seen the world. I've traveled to over 40 countries around the world, cities. I went to school in Asia, in Singapore. I worked in China. I've seen the world. And now that the travel desk is here, I can't wait for people to experience my city. When I say Lagos is my city, I really mean that from my heart. I was born here. And my favorite food, when we talk about favorite food, for sure, anyone who comes to Lagos definitely needs to try jollof. Nigerian jollof would change your life. I don't care what anybody else says, but nice smoky potty jollof rice is the real deal. And then when it comes to local food, of course, amala is something that's also a local delicacy that you definitely need to try out for those who are visiting Lagos.
Thank you so very much. It was a pleasure having you all here, Honorable Pedro Lopez, Paolo Rodrigo, Kamil Olufowabi, for your incredible insights and being part of this journey. I really, really appreciate it. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for joining us on the MIPAD Travel Desk Podcast, where every conversation connects the African family across continents. It's been a pleasure sharing this space with you today. Don't forget, we're here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. West African time, Lagos, Nigeria, with more incredible guests, stories, and insights from across Africa and the global diaspora. For more information about MIPAD Travel Desk, visit www.mipad.org. That's MIPAD.org/travel desk. And to learn more about the most influential people of African descent and how you too can be a part of this global movement, visit www.mipad.org. That's MIPAD.org. I'm Crystal Cummings, your host. This has been an amazing experience. The topic was Bridging Worlds, the future of diaspora travel and tourism. Until next week, keep traveling, keep connecting, and keep coming home.